So we're getting in here to mid-January. We just had another cold front coming through today. It might be even down into the low 50s tomorrow morning, which is warm for a lot of people across the country. But for us, it's kind of a free air conditioning, I call it. So we've been advancing into the new year. There's a lot of great things going on. The Jellyfish Aquariums are doing well. We just set up a couple more of the TMC 10 and the 15. Those are really super cool. So we're gonna have these as permanent displays here in the main showroom. Getting here nearer towards the end of the day, and you can see how the reef is turning blue. And I wanted to go over really the automation of reef aquarium systems and why it's so important, especially on these larger ones, to automate as much as you possibly can. Really one of the integral portions of the success of what we do as an overall company, especially in these larger ones, is automating a lot of what we do, but keeping mechanical aspects of it within control. I mean, if it's at your home and you have an Apex system like we have here and you want to automate everything you've got, okay, great, that's fine. But that's as your own private aquarist because you're there monitoring and managing your own aquarium on a constant day-to-day basis. I like to utilize some of the automation for certain things on the aquarium. I can see my pH that we verify now is 8.46 here at the end of the day. And that's before we start adding calc in our automated 3-stage calcium hydroxide reactor with the Iwaki pump down here that runs between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. to mix this calc washer solution, which then settles over time. And this evening, starting at 7 o'clock tonight, this vessel here, which is about 11 gallons, 10 gallons, will start to pull that high pH calc washer at 12 pH out of this area and start pulling here, which actually will be pulling from this vessel, which has an elevated space, and then the new RO water will start dripping in. So the idea with this was, again, it's a sealed area, so we're not having a lot of interaction with the CO2 that's in the air, and we're really putting in pure calc water that's clean without the precipitate. That, I think, is a really important thing to recognize. So again, going back at automation, if you look under here, it's real easy. There's just a simple digital timer that we program to carry the schedule, 8 a.m. on, 11 a.m. off. Over here on this side is another digital timer that's running the dehumidifier. We have a dehumidifier in the building, well, in the office space, because we have 3,000 gallons of water in our overall office, and we want a dehumidifier. That helps our air conditioners here in Florida because we have really a high humid area anyways, and this dehumidifier goes on at night at 6 o'clock and goes off at 7 a.m. So during business hours, you don't hear it, but if I click this right here, you'll hear it start up and start to run. So you'll hear the sound, and it makes a little bit of a whine. So we don't want that to happen during normal daylight hours. But again, dehumidifying it and automating these things is very important. Simple digital timer. It's not running, neither one of these are running off the Apex. As a matter of fact, if I ran everything off the DB8 electric bars, I might need 3 or 4 of them, and some of them they couldn't carry, like the 220 Aqua Ultraviolet Sterilizer, the 220 Aqualogic Split AC unit, things like that really wouldn't work on it. If you look around, I'm gonna make a wild guess between all of the Vortec pumps and the 20 Radion lights above, you're talking about somewhere north of maybe 40 electric outlets. There's a lot of electric outlets in this space. So the other really neat thing that we've done recently, I'll get the ladder out and show you. If you go up on top and you look at the new things that we've done, some of the things we did, which are pretty important to recognize, we've got AquaPower Easy Trace, we got the calc reactor, we got manganese, we have buffer, we have strontium, easy carbon, we have Rotafeast, Arctic Pods, Phytofeast, Pack Pods, and Mysis Feeds. All of these are on the Apex dose system. So we have 6 separate heads, 12 different liquids coming through, which is pretty fascinating. And any one of these, you can push the button and manually do them. But all of these are automated into the Apex system. One of the things you're gonna notice that's pretty cool that we did, we've now changed all these out with RO line and a John Guest fitting that connects directly to the head of the DOS system. So this allows us a couple of things. We can see the visual, see that the food is running through this line right now when it goes on, right, from the refrigerator, and you can visually see it that it's clean. The other side of using the RO lines is that it doesn't collapse. This RO line is rigid. When we were using the silicone lines that come with these, or they might say you can use an airline or something, they have a tendency to kink. When you start binding these up, they kink, but the RO line here, 1/4 inch poly, doesn't kink, and it really makes it easier. So let's just go into the pack pods, and I keep holding the pack pod line. Eventually, we'll see the fluid start dripping out. I can't do it faster now, but you'll see the liquid start coming down the line. I'm watching it now. When it goes on naturally, it's going a lot faster. You can kind of see in here, there's the liquid going through, which is the food. So that'll run, I think it's 30 milliliters a day. So we're using the food that goes through. Here it comes down, right, this one right here. It's coming out, start dripping the food. And if you look up front, you'll see the food start going in, and the fish inside the aquarium, they smell it, they know it's coming out, and they're super excited. So they come running over, they're all coming to eat. And this is a really important part of the nutrition and keeping the fish satiated in a big reef aquarium, so that you can grow an army of anthias and grow a really great group of reef community fish. When you're diving out on the reef, that food is always available and the fish are always eating. That's what they do on the reef. They're either eating, trying not to get eaten, or looking for a date. That's the life of a fish on the reef. So inside, we elevated our food system up here in the refrigerator. We took it off the floor, and you can see what's going on. We got our different types of food inside of here. Those are metering, dated, they're labeled. We know when they first started in here. And then if you look at the thermometer in here, we're running at 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really important. You want to keep this food nice and cold in this little cooler. As a matter of fact, it's even icing in some of these areas in here. So we're literally in a little refrigerator freezer that's staying super cool, 36 degrees Fahrenheit. That's super nice. So we'll close that back up, keep it cool, but Buddy decided he wanted to get it off the floor, so we elevated it up here. You know, again, going back to automation, the clear water scrubbers that we have here, we did some modification to those. We got rid of the situation where they might overflow and drip out the side edges or drip out this side, so we custom modified this piece here, again, which really makes it safer so that the dripping doesn't happen and they don't overflow. Those are integrated into this PVC board platform that we have. There's a little drill hole, weep hole here, so if it ever did spray or overflow, that's just going to go right back into the sump. So there's just a lot of things that we do to make things automated. Again, we're using really the Triton here for the apex for monitoring, not really controlling alkalinity. We're still managing and monitoring that within the system, and that allows us to make a determination of how much CO2 we should be using, or the cycle at which the DELTEC Twin Tech unit, this is a 10,000, operates and runs and dissolves at a lower pH in here, which is about a 5.8 pH. So you got this whole balance of things between this high pH calc washer here, the way the DELTEC calcium reactor works so well, and just helping keep the alkalinity up and calcium up in a system like this that's really necessary to maintain the coral growth that's happening right now. Another really important thing to recognize when we look at how we automate this is that the water tank system here too, you know, our saltwater exchange system, we have salt water down here, we have fresh water up there. I can flip a switch here to get the water mixing. You'll hear the water mixing, so we have salt water mixing downstairs. When we use this water, we simply open a valve in the sump that starts draining the sump water down to the appropriate level mechanically, and then we'll push this water into the sump for the water change that goes on in the sump, and then I'll just open this valve here, which takes water from upstairs down to the tank down here, and then we'll start the cycle again. So some of these things we don't automate, but there's an overflow drain on this tank, there's an overflow drain on that tank, and the water that comes in to the calc unit is way up there. There's a secondary water tank there, so that water tank only runs in the daytime to allow for gravity to come down into the calc washer unit here. So the most you could ever dose into this aquarium in a day might be the volume of water that's up there, which is probably about 18 gallons. So you never could accidentally overflow the sump, which is super important. We don't want water on the floor anywhere, but it gives you a really good idea of, you know, some of the automated processes we do that are automated and some that are not. But again, with design and with intent to keep the aquarium and its inhabitants happy, healthy, satiated, and then the administration of the calcium and all the other liquids in as much of an automated basis as well, with simple water chemistry checks being done. I know we're doing alkalinity on this twice a week. I know we do full spectrum on Wednesdays, water quality Wednesday. So how you achieve a beautiful aquarium, you got to get some automation in there. It really makes it a lot easier to manage such a big body of water. Remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.